one. So as you see on Ryan here, he's laying flat onto the wall, about 7 to 10 inches away with his knees bent and his feet flat. And we'll bring your feet a little bit wider apart so that you're about your hip distance. And what will be important for you for your home practice is lining up from your knees to those bony points on the front of your hips through your ankles, so that the alignment of the leg then falls within the space of the width of your pelvis or your hips. This is what will help to set the bones and joints into an equal alignment so that we can start to stretch the muscles that connect down from the lower back into the hips and begin to start to stretch and strengthen the muscles that connect across the lower back. The next step you'll do when you're setting up your Aldo exercise is now extend your arms on up to the ceiling. Have your palms positioned up to the ceiling and your fingertips turned to the sides of the room. Now, when we set up these two angles, it allows us to create a pulling force, and then with how we set up the legs, it creates a fixed point so that we can begin to elongate and stretch and help to heal everything. So begin to extend your arms back to almost right beside you. Hang on right there. Now, once you're in this position, the next thing you want to do is begin to flatten your lower back to your mat or to your table. Tuck your chin as much as you can so that the spine starts to elongate. This is, again, very important for helping you recover. And now, the next stage we'll do here is just collapse the knees towards each other. Now, when we do that action as dropping the knees, it creates a small little bit of separation at the SI joints. And now, once you have this all set up, you're going to now hold for about 90 seconds. Big inhales, big exhales. Another subtle and important point is the pressure you place with your feet against the wall. And Ryan, just pushing ever so slightly, good. And you can notice how that helps to create more tension and stretch throughout the whole of the exercise.
Yeah.
Now, for an individual that's dealing with acute or chronic pain, you'll feel the intensities of this exercise right away. But your best thing is just to breathe as deeply as you can, holding it for initially about 90 seconds. Be a little bit briefer for the sake of this video. Good. And now we'll very slowly start to take apart this exercise. And you'll start to relax your arms, Ryan, and relax your feet. Now, why I underscore with these exercises to always take them apart slowly is because in between all our muscles, we've got little nerves and that are telling us whether we're in pain or not in pain. And when we're stretching all those out, you'll feel very, and it's specific for what's titled our L5, our S1 region. So what I'll ask for Ryan to do is you're going to change your position, come to lay on your back with your buttocks as flush against the wall as you can, and your legs straight up the wall. And fun fact, if you go to set this exercise up and it's very difficult for you to get your legs up the wall, you're dealing more likely with an SI joint irritation. So 60 to 80% of the people at some point in their life will experience mechanical back pain. 15 to 30% of those people are really actually dealing with an SI joint irritation. Again, if you're having issue with getting your legs straight up, please practice the SI joint irritation video and then move to this sequence of exercises. Now, once you're in position with your legs straight up the wall, you want to separate them again about the width of your hips apart. There's two ways we can think about creating that alignment. From the bony point on the front of your hip to your knee to your ankle stays in one long line, or you line up from that round bony protrusion on the side of your thigh and your ankle bone stay in one long line. Now we'll extend both arms towards the ceiling. Palms are up, fingertips will turn to the sides of the room. Next to that, you're going to flex your feet towards your abdomen. Perfect. All good. And then we're going to internally rotate the legs. Perfect. And connect that a bit more through the knees as well. Perfect. And then we'll create a bit more straightening through the limbs. Big breath. Flattening the back, tucking the chin, extending the arms back. The ideal we want to work to is being able to bring the arms beside your ears, but that's a working goal. What I've found for most individuals, the first few weeks you practice these exercises, this or at this range might be all you need to affect dramatic change and give yourself a myriad of improvements that get you back a lot of quality of your life. The reason we're ideally trying to get the arms straight back, the legs straight up, and as turned in as we can, is because that will just represent over time very good joint mobility and joint health. And that will indicate a very just good, healthy ranges of motions in the joint. And that'll be the preventative aspect of what these Eldoa exercises do. A few more big breaths. Again, like with every exercise, on your initial hold, let's work for 90 seconds or about 10 to 12 deep inhales and exhales. Again, for the state of our videos, we'll have them a little bit short. Now in the instruction manual, this exercise will be listed as T8, T9. Turn your fingers out to the sides of the room and draw your knees just towards each other. Perfect. Again, you want your feet and legs about your hip distance apart, and then very slowly begin to extend the arms towards the ceiling. Pausing there. As we do with any of our setup, we're going to think about 10 to 12 breaths and 2 actions that you'll want to really pay close attention to as you're performing these. Pressing your feet down into your floor or to your table, extending the arms up and out on that direction, because you notice, and Ryan, you can kind of feel how everything begins to lift and stretch from this point. Because the other very important part about this region of the body is what are called the intercostal muscles. So these are small muscles that sit between individual ribs, but what they house is the highest amount of sensory fibers that speak to your nervous system about its state of wellness and being. That's why one of the most common after effects of people's performing of an Eldoa exercise is a sense of de-stress, a sense of relaxation, and a sense of ease in the body, because you're actually changing the state and tone of which your nervous system has been holding it. This, again, from a clinical perspective, I've found to be so valuable, especially for people that are dealing with acute pain or have been in long-term chronic pain, say after a motor vehicle accident or a bad fall, or other stress events in life. This exercise people always use as a go-to for a number of rhymes and reasons. Good. Now again, like with all of our exercises in our sequence and in our system, we want to let them relax very slowly. And we'll do just that. You feel all that heat response from that, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so on an additional note, you'll notice, as most people do, you'll get a great sense of heat or